Look, we got some bad news to get into later in the show, but let's get in some good stuff. BC, they look like they got a punter.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. Thank you all who have joined us here on Locked On BC. We are a daily Boston College podcast. We give you a new show every single day to talk about your Boston College Eagles. Make sure you are liked and subscribed on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts because we're free for all of you. Now, let's get into today's show. Hockey. Bad weekend. They fall on their face in another big moment. Should we start getting worried about Greg Brown in these big moments? Second, March Madness is here, and as a Boston College fan, nothing but depression. And let's kick it off. Let's get away from the negativity here for a minute. I got to kick this off with some positivity. We're going to talk about punting. Yes, punting. And I'm going to give you some good news about that. Let's start there. So, if you're watching this podcast, I don't need to tell you, punting last year for Boston College football was absolutely brutal. They finished last in the country in net yards per punt in the entire country. Every school was better than Boston College, and it was by like 3 yards. You watch the season go on. They tried a whole bunch of different things. None of them really stuck. Liam Connor, got to give him credit, at least near the end. Some of his punts were okay. But man, Ivan Zvenko, Sam Candotti, tough year for them, and BC did what they needed to do in the offseason. They went out and got 2 new punters, Seamus Florio, a transfer from Yale, and true freshman Andy Quinn from Ireland. He went to the NFL Academy in London, and man, the reason I'm bringing this up is that practice started this week, and we got a chance to watch practice. And you're watching Grayson James and Dylan Lonergan and even Turbo Richard. The offense and defensive line, they haven't really done a whole lot yet. Saturday they had pads, so it was a little different. But I gotta tell you, I know a lot of you folks out there were waiting to hear more about this. How is this punting going to look this year? Because yeah, you want an offense that never has to punt. That's great. That is wishful thinking right there. But let's be realistic here. You need to be able to punt. And last year, the punting really was detrimental. It hurt your team. So I was dying to see what Andy Quinn looked like. This is a kid from Ireland that we don't know much about. He did great from everything I've heard in some of these competitions they had across the sea. But you know what? It's Europe. This is the United States. Could things translate? Who knows? I got to tell you, I watched him line up and take his first punt, and my jaw went to the ground. I have not seen a BC punter hit the ball with his foot like Andy Quinn did. Like, it boomed off his foot. I got really excited, really, really excited. I know but this is the thing. It's what? Practice 2, 3? We don't know. Like, this is just him standing back there punting. What's it going to be like when there's a defender bearing down on him? What's going to be like when with the long snaps and all that kind of stuff? Things can get tricky. I'm just saying what I watched, what my writers watched, is a punter that I think will give BC a more than passable punting game. And that, my friends, is a huge development for BC football. I know it sounds pathetic, but it's not. It's big. Just think of all those downs where you're getting back there and nothing's happening and you just need to flip the field. You could not do that last year. So if Andy Quinn can put this together, and again, I am prefacing this by saying it's the first week of practice. I get that. It was just, I watched the ball come off his foot, I watched the ball come off Liam Connor's foot, and I watched the ball come off Seamus Florio's foot. His caught my eye every single time he kicked it. And that was exciting. And I know some folks are going to go back to some of my previous shows from last year and said, AJ, you said the same thing about the punters last year. Ivan Zvenko, yes. There were times last year during practice Ivan Zvenko looked good. I don't think I've ever said that about Sam Candotti, just because he's not that kind of kicker. He's not a booming kicker. He's an Aussie rules kicker. I think Andy Quinn. I think they got something here, folks, and this gets me pumped. This could be the change you need. Now, additionally, you need to be able to also have a kicker because what did they kick 4 or 5 field goal attempts last year? And I think they hit 3 out of 5. Look, Luca Lombardo missed most of all of last year. I think he played the beginning of the year and then he was gone. He was projected to be your field goal kicker. He's working his way back. I'm not sure what his status exactly is, and there's new rules with practice that I can't talk about it unless Bill O'Brien talks about it with injuries. So I can't. But he was working. He has been working his way back. Hopefully he'll be ready. But you got Liam Connor as well. I sense that special teams will be much improved this year. I think too. I liked their kick returners last year. I did not like Isaiah Ferris never fear catching anything and getting killed every time he touched the ball. But he also had some nice punt returns too. I would love to see special teams become an asset. Getting good special teams on your roster can make your team sneaky good. It's when it's a detriment, when it becomes a problem, that you lose games because of it, that you can't finish, that you give up points, that you have to make plays that don't actually increase your win percentage. This could change things. And I'm not some of you guys are really tough on Matt Turner, and I get it. Like when you don't have a punter that can punt and a kicker that can kick, the special teams coach is the guy that you target at. His biggest focus for a special teams coach, yeah, it's a little bit of the kicking, but it's more the punt returns and kick returns, which I think, I don't have the statistics in front of me right now, we're pretty good. But back to Andy Quinn. Let's get back to the Irish guy. I think there's going to be a lot of folks excited about this kid. Boston College, a Irish Catholic school, you have your roots here in Massachusetts. To get a kid from Ireland is it's just a neat experience. And I've talked to his family. They're very excited about it too. So this is a great moment. And BC has become um, kind of an international school in terms of their football program. You've got players from all over the place, from Canada to you had one from Australia. You have one. You've got the Pape Sai, who is from one of the African countries. You have all these players that are from all over the place, and you continue to do it. You've had players come in too that just didn't work. Like I keep mentioning Elijah Krajnovic, who's Serbian. You've had other players that have come through too. You haven't had an Irish one that I can think of. So this is a cool one. And again, it's week 1, but when there's moments that you just watch it practice and this is different. This felt that way. Like you just saw him hit the ball, kick the ball with such force and with such good movement on it. Like I was just impressed. And we'll have to keep watching. We'll see what happens. But Andy Quinn, I think this is a guy that could be something for BC. We'll have to wait to see. Now, in a moment, let's get into some of the darkest stuff. Next up, March Madness is here. And I just want to talk about, as a Boston College fan, it's really depressing. We'll get into that in just a moment. Eating healthy doesn't have to be complicated. With Factor, you get chef-made, dietitian-approved meals that are ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes so you can fuel your body without the hassle of cooking. Factor meals arrive fresh, never frozen, and with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences each week, you can customize your menu to fit your goals, whether that's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Convenience meets nutrition. That's what I think about Factor. It keeps me healthy with delicious meals without the time-consuming prep. As a father of 2, I got to get my family ready. We have all sorts of stuff with karate and soccer. Factor, quick and easy, get my kids food, and they love it. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off free shipping on your first purchase. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 plus brands, you'll get exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trademaster program at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. Thank you all who have made us your first listen every day. Whether you're at the gym, doing dishes, or on your way to work, we're glad that you clicked play on Locked On Boston College. Now, I got to get into this because I'm recording this on a Sunday night. It's March Madness, the official kickoff of March Madness. Everyone's got their brackets. Everyone's talking about snubs and who got ranked highest and where did this person, this team, why didn't at WVU get in while UNC did and blah 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 blah. And here we are, Boston College Nation, in 2025. And it has been 15 years since Boston College has been in the tournament. And I just want to say, when you go on social media, you turn on sports right now, it just makes me question, how did we get here for Boston College? Why has it been so long since this program has actually made a tournament? It's just depressing. Like, I feel like, I put up the meme earlier of SpongeBob and Patrick playing while Squidward's watching him behind the blinds. It really feels this way. Like, I feel like Boston College is completely missing the boat on something that could really add a special spice to our athletics portfolio. And the fact that it's gone on this long, and I don't know who to blame. Is it Father Leahy? Is it the athletic directors? Has it just been crappy coaches? I don't know what it is. But the fact that we were on year 15, you'd have a teenager who has lived their entire life without seeing BC in a tournament game. That's unacceptable. And this is why I ranted and raved for 2 weeks, and I had people telling me, AJ, you need to calm down about this. Some fans, not going to get into it. I have been waiting way too long for BC to be a tournament team. We are in the city of Boston, one of the biggest sports meccas in the United States. We have great programs, for professional sports teams. We have a great hockey team. We have a great women's lacrosse team. Football's fine. Like, why is basketball, with all this talent in your backyard, you can go up and down all the guys that have come and gone from New England that didn't play at BC, while BC is just falling further and further and further behind all these other teams. I just want to be excited. Like, I want to be part of this. I want to get here on Locked On BC with you guys and be like, hey, here's the bracket. I think BC could pull off this upset. I would love to see BC get here. This was what it was like when I was at BC. Honestly, I was there when they made tournaments. It was so much fun, and we don't get any of it. And that is depressing. That's what I wanted to talk about here. I wanted to say, while everyone is out there, getting into all of the things that are going on with college basketball, we're not even sniffing it. And it's not even just the tournament. We're not in the NIT. Our women's basketball team is not on the NIT. The women's basketball, I'm not going to look it up because I don't care enough to look at it right now because it's not the point of this. But when's the last time women's basketball's been in the tournament? That's been ages. Like, what are we doing here? There's 68 teams that get into these tournaments, and BC cannot be part of it ever. Like ever. Like I've covered I, I have to go back to when I was actually a fan and not a writer to actually remember the last time BC made a tournament. 2009, and I think that was the year they lost to Georgetown, I think, right? I are you I don't remember. It's so long ago. But this is a chance now. We have a chance now for things to change, and I'm not sure when it's going to change. You know, we're at year 15. Next year, we don't know if as I said on Friday's episode, not sure if Donald Hand's going to be back. If he's not back, then we're going to go into year 16. Then it's probably going to be a coaching change. Then, it's going to just start all over again. I don't know how many more years of this we can take. Like, I am part. So right now, let me give you two examples of what I'm dealing with. On Locked On, we have group chats where all these, most of the other hosts, they're doing special episodes. They have like a studio where they're I'll play the ad for it in a little bit. It's so cool. But Boston College, we're not part of it because our team, what, they win 12 games? Like, again, like it just, this is one of the best times in all of sports. And you have a Power 4 program, and you are down there with DePaul as one of the only schools with like the longest streaks for losses, for not making the tournament. And DePaul is pathetic, but you're not that far away from them. This is just so tough. This is just like, it's unacceptable. And I hope, my hope is that Father Jack Butler feels the same way, and that Blake James feels the same way. I don't know what went into their decision to retain Earl Grant, and they'll probably never tell me. That's fine. That's their private conversation. They clearly think something, whether it's a financial reason or that they really do believe he can turn it around. Fine. But next year, Father Leahy retires. Next year, Jack Butler takes over. And Jack Butler is a guy that loves winning. If you talk to any player, especially the football players who know him, he takes that seriously. He's not going to mess around with this. So if next year is year 16 for BC, in which nothing happens, you don't make the tournament, you don't make, I mean, this year was awful. You didn't even make the ACC tournament. But if you make the tournament, you don't make the tournament, you do what you need to do to fix this team. You do what you need to do to get this program in the right track. Because I've said this on many different shows. The malaise and just kind of Eeyore feeling that I have right now, watching all of this like all the teams celebrating and all this stuff, I can't imagine the students in the last 15 years that have gone through this school that are expected to care about this program when nothing happens ever. You have your big moment was that NIT run where you won one game last year. Cool. You got to figure this out, because getting into March Madness, honestly, unless they completely blow it up and make it 128 teams, which I hope they don't, because that just takes all the specialness out of all this. But you got to get back in there to get yourself relevant again. You get to March Madness, the fans come back. You get to March Madness, the recruiting improves. It gets everything going. I will say it again. I saw a tweet by a writer, I think it was a CBS writer, that pointed out Michigan and Louisville. They went from two of the worst teams in Power 4 programs last year to tournament teams in 1 year because they changed their coach. They also have gigantic pools of money for a transfer portal, so I'm not going to compare them to BC, but it just shows you, if you put the resources in and get a coach that can win, you will get better. I can't take any more of these seasons. 15 is way too long. Fix it, Boston College. In a moment, let's talk about hockey. I don't know what happened with them. We'll talk about it. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. I've got my eye on the Drake Bulldogs. I like them. I'm a big fan of their mascot. Sometimes I can do the mascot stuff, but I like them. I'm also going with Clemson. I was just looking at the roster. The bracket before I went on the air today. Let's get Jaden Zachary some wins here. I think that would be great. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoop actions all tournament long.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here. When you are done with this episode, I need to tell you, you need to go check out Locked On ACC with the tournament coming up. Kenton Gibbs and Alex Donald, they're going to have a lot to talk about. Check out Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, hockey. This has always been a team of pride. You know, they win. They went to the national title last year, got championship last year. They won the Hockey East last year. This year, you lost a lot of some of your stars to the NHL. Cutter Gauthier, you've Will Smith. They both left, but you still had a ton of talent. You were number one in the country for most of the season. You battled back and forth with Michigan State for that top spot. You headed in. You already lost the Beanpot in a disappointing. They got trounced by BU. We'll be frank there. That was not a close game. You start the Hockey East tournament, you get Northeastern, a team you beat up on earlier this year, and you lose again, 3-1. You fell behind 2-0 in the second period at home, and now you're gone. You're out of the tournament. And I'm not going to get into the details of who played well and who didn't, but it's starting to strike a little bit of concern in me that Greg Brown and his team. They win some, it's not that they don't win because they won the Hockey East, but they don't have the killer instinct to continue to win multiple things in a year. Like in the last 2 seasons, they're 0-2 for the Beanpot. You're going into the Frozen Four tournament, and the issues that we saw against Northeastern, like the consistency from offense from some of their deeper lines. It's not there. So I'm starting to worry about where this program is. Like, you get all these one and done kids, we've mentioned this before on the show, but it's not enough. And what I'm worried about for this Frozen Four is they run into every year in a program like this that is built with older guys. Like, UMass Lowell's kind of like that. They always get guys like 23, 24 years old. But you saw it last year with Denver. You've seen it with other teams that just muck it up and really, make it a physical game that BC is not just there for. So I'm worried about where they're heading in this tournament. They're going to be a 1 seed. I don't know where they're going to get placed. But for hockey, it's just the consistency hasn't been there. Like, you want to, like, if you're really a good BC team, I go back to 2012, and I believe they won everything that year. They won the title, they won the Hockey East, and they won the Beanpot. It's been ages since they've won the Beanpot. They won the title last year, but it was a while before that, and they obviously haven't won a national championship. That being said, there is a ton of talent on this team. You have Jacob Fowler, who, we saw Denver's goalie last year. He got really hot. What if Jacob Fowler gets really hot? And then they ride that? They could still win. I wouldn't bet on it, but who knows? But right now, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling confident in this hockey team. I feel like something's going to get them. So that's my last thought on that. On Tuesday show, we'll get into more on BC practice. We'll get into some recruiting news. I'll get into everything. You guys know We get it all here at Locked On BC. Well, thank you all for listening. Hopefully it'll be more positive next time. Thank you. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Check out Eagle Insider. If you want to get in for a month, it's a good month with all the visitors and practice notes, just $1. Go check it out on Eagle Insider. And make sure you are subscribed to Locked On BC, wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. Love to have you guys spread the word. I have a challenge for you before you head out. I want you to find one Boston College fan that does not listen to my podcast, and I want you to share an episode with them. Show them what this podcast is about, that there's people out there that really do care about BC sports. And if they do too, this is the place for them to be. My name's AJ Black. I'll see you all again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.